Hey, Hardcore Hog fans. We're coming to you live on YouTube with my partner, George Waddell. What's up, buddy?
What's up? Another sunny day in LA. That's all I have to say.
I can see that. Hey, we're joined by our special guest, our recurring guest now, Lang Whitman. What do you say, buddy?
I say I'm glad that over half the work week is over, and we're looking forward to another weekend of college football.
Awesome. Well, you know, we got a tall order this week, boys. Tennessee's coming to town. We took a little bit of a bruise on the shoulder from A&M. I don't know what to think about this game, and I'm not sure I know where to start, but I do know I'm going to hop right into the predictions, and then we can talk about it. George, what do you think, buddy?
So I haven't thought a thing about it all week long, and I'll tell you why, because it was very painful what I saw in the second half last week. But I am going to say, hey, look, Tennessee's probably going to score 41 points, and it seems like our offensive efficiency has continued to wane in the latter games. So I'm going to say we score 16, 41-16.
Okay. That's aggressive. Hey, Lang, this time, would you like me to go first so you can cheat off of me, or do you want to go first so I can cheat off of you? How do you want this to work this week?
I'll do whatever you want, boss. You're the top dog around here, not me. I'm just a guest.
All right, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go first this week because I owe you, and I'm going to see what you take off of what I say.
Deal.
I'm here to tell you that I have Tennessee at 35 points. I'll explain it later. I got them at 35. That's the best I can get them to. Now, I did have a problem arriving at the Hog score. I'm going to settle on 17 for the Hogs. I like 24, but I'm going to settle at 17 because the A&M game turned me off a little bit. So what do you think, bud?
Well, you are going to think I'm copying off of you because I'm right in that same neighborhood. I have it Tennessee 35, Arkansas 20. And we'll get into it here in a little bit about why I think that. And we were talking before we started, I think this is a high variance game, though. I can see Tennessee winning by 4 touchdowns. I think it's going to be really hard for Arkansas to win, but I can also see a one-score game if things work out a certain way. We'll get into that.
I like the pick. I'm really feeling good that I went first, and I'm really feeling good that mine and your pick was somewhat in the same neighborhood. But I'm exactly the same way you are. I am a little bit scared of them running away with it in case we can't get to the quarterback, Nico Iamaleava, if that's how you pronounce it. But I'm telling you that it could be rough, but if Petrino's group shows up, T-Will's group shows up, and special teams does what they're supposed to do, then that's why I'm close to the score I'm at. This is one of those games where if the day feels right, it could be a big upset. It could be awesome, and it could be one of those proud hog moments. I'm not counting on it, but that's why my score is where I'm at.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was looking at. In my head, I have it, a scenario where Tennessee leads 28-20. Arkansas has the ball with 6 or 7 minutes left. And, everybody's thinking, hey, we got a chance to drive to get a tie right here. And we maybe go for it on 4th down or on 40-yard line or something. Don't make it. They get the ball back there, score one late, put it out of reach. And the final score might look to be a little more than what the game really was. As far as Arkansas hanging in this game, the first quarter is massive in my mind. Nico, as the quarterback for Tennessee, has started five games. He started the bowl game last year, all 4 of the games this year. Tennessee has never trailed for 1 second in any of those 5 games when he's been the quarterback. First quarter's massive. If Arkansas could come out and hit them in the mouth and get a score early, a touchdown, not a field goal, touchdown, and make them feel even just a little bit of heat, then things can get going Arkansas's way. If Arkansas lets Tennessee get out the gate early here, 10-0, 14-0, something like that, where they can call, run, pass, whatever they want to do. Arkansas's got to play catch up with a up and down, let's say, passing game right now, having to pass block against that defensive line that Tennessee has. That's bad news for Arkansas.
Well, and you bring up a good point. I mean, Tennessee has 4 badass wide receivers and, oh, by the way, a beast of a running back and a great quarterback. Listen, they're number one in about every category you want to measure. So what it has to be is total disruption. And you're right, it needs to start in the first quarter. If our defensive line can get back to that quarterback and just disrupt him a little bit, cause a little bit of chaos, we have some things go our way, which I think is going to have to happen, then we've got a good shot at this ball game. I don't think we can compete. I don't think we can keep up. I do think it's a 35-17 type game or worse. However, if a few of those things come together, turnovers, disruption of the quarterback for sure, then we're going to see some positive results.
Yeah, it's got to start with stopping the Tennessee run game. And you also need to look at Tennessee's schedule here a little bit. They are number 3 in the country in total offense and yards per game, number 1 in the country in defensive yards allowed per game. But they played Kent State. All right, they're number 133 out of 133 in offense and defense in college football. They played Chattanooga, which is an FCS team who they rolled up 700 yards on. They played NC State, who at the start of the season, a lot of people, myself included, thought they were going to be a threat in the ACC. That hasn't happened. Their offense is ranked 109. Oklahoma, their offense is ranked 122. There's their 4 teams that their defense has snuffed out to get that number 1 ranking. We will be by far the best offense that they have played so far. I'm not saying that their defense isn't great. I'm saying that they haven't had to prove it against an offense worth a crap yet.
Yeah, you're going to see the real test right here. And George, I know out there in Beverly Hills where everything's pretty sunshiny and it's 72 degrees 24/7, that you think the Razorbacks are just a bunch of sunshine and rainbows fixing to win this game. What you got to know is Tennessee's coming in hard and strong. They're coming off a bye week. That's even worse for us. But that can also draw some complacency. They can look ahead of you. I think they've got Florida next week. I'm not sure, Lang, you probably know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you could get complacency coming off a bye week. I doubt it, but I hope that's part of the case when I say we need some breaks this week.
You know, I think the running game for Arkansas is going to be a big key to the game. If Arkansas can control the clock with the running game, I don't know why we tried to pass the ball so much last week, especially in the second half. I felt like, you know, that we completely went away from the run. Maybe it was because we feared Texas A&M's defensive line. But if we can't run the ball, if we can't do something on first down that's positive instead of 10 penalties and turnovers galore, then yeah, it's going to be 41-16 and we're going to lose. But I think we won't be a high scoring team because we're going to try to control the football on the ground and extend the clock. And then I think Tennessee will probably hit us for, 21 points in the second. That's just kind of the way I see it.
We can't have JJ. We can't have JJ, running for 37 yards for the game. We can't have Taylor Green, carrying the ball 13 times for 6 yards like he did against A&M. Those are 2 offensive weapons that are important in the scheme. So whatever we got to do to correct that part, I'm not trying to second guess Petrino. Trust me, I'm all about Petrino. I know for sure he knows exactly what he's doing. And I don't try to second guess or change any of his plays. He's got a plan and I trust his plan. But we just can't have those guys rushing for those few of yards. Not in this offense.
I totally agree with that. And here's a little tidbit. If you watched the Tennessee-Oklahoma game from a couple weeks ago, that was a game Tennessee ahead 19-3 at halftime. Oklahoma had changed quarterbacks, went to a true freshman quarterback in the second half. And once Tennessee kicked another field goal to go ahead 22-3 and it made it a 3-score game, Tennessee pretty much shut down their offense. Their offense had given up a couple sacks. Nico had a couple fumbles. And Heupel had just pretty much shut down their offense. And we're going to run the ball. We're going to run the clock. Oklahoma's offense is doing absolutely nothing against us, and we're going to get out of here with a win. But what happened in the fourth quarter is that true freshman quarterback started running around and making some plays. And while it ended up a 10-point game, Oklahoma got 2 touchdowns in, I believe, the last 6-7 minutes of the game. Their quarterback Hawkins hurt Tennessee with his legs. Now, maybe that was because Tennessee wasn't prepared for that. They thought Jackson Arnold was going to play the whole game. They hadn't had any film on Hawkins and whatnot. They're going to be prepared for Green running the ball. But their defense did get hurt a little bit by Hawkins for Oklahoma running the ball late in that game, and that's something maybe that Arkansas can hang their hat on here, especially early in the game. And they need a couple big explosive plays on offense to try to take early control of the game, keep the crowd hyped up. I know the crowd's going to be ready to roll.
Well, they've got that kid Dylan Sampson that's the running back, and he's going to be a beast. Another kid to keep your eye on is Squirrel White. He also returns punts. I mean, our punt teams have been playing a really good game this year. Their best bet is to keep it away from that kid and don't let him pick the ball up at all. Because if you got a name like Squirrel, I'm not kicking you the football either. You got to live up to that name, buddy.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, they're hard to hit with.
Go back on what you said there a minute ago, Rick. Yes, Tennessee has Florida next week. Then they got Alabama the week after that. So I don't think this is a game they'll be overlooking coming off a bye, but you never know. I know Tennessee, Florida used to always be the game that would settle the East there for a long time, probably a decade straight.
For sure.
Going back and forth. Georgia was not quite what they are now. And then obviously the third Saturday in October, they always got the big game against Alabama. So those are 2 huge ones on tap for them. They're going on the road. So like I said, Arkansas's got to take advantage of something early in this game. I mean, for the season, it seems like Arkansas's worse than they are on turnovers. We're -2 in turnovers for the whole season. Tennessee is +2. I would have thought we were worse than -2 in turnover margin. But we need to come out probably +2 in this game Saturday night to have a shot to hang in there or sneak out there with an upset win.
Hey, I was talking to somebody about that the other day, too, and I agree. Your +2 is right on the money with turnovers. I'll tell you something else, though, that I came up with just in me studying it was we got to think about this. Tennessee is very capable of scoring every time they touch the football. I'd be curious, and Lang probably has the stat because that's what he does, but I'd be curious how many possessions in those last 5 games that they have actually scored on. I'm sure it's a lot. So with that being said, anytime we get a punt out of Tennessee, and I don't care if they pin us behind the 10-yard line like A&M did last week, anytime they punt the football, I'm looking at that as a turnover. Now, I'm not counting that as the +2. I'm just saying if we can get them to punt the football more than not, then I think my +2 comes down a little bit to a 1.5 or a 1. But we do have to get a turnover. That's part of things going our way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, yeah, you got to consider any time that they have a possession and we hold them to no points, that's a win.
Absolutely.
That's a win. And when you get the ball back, we need to be able to churn out some first downs, even if we don't get points. It runs clock. It can create better field position for a punt. I mean, sometimes in this game, maybe they pin us back, like you said, inside the 10, getting 2 first downs and punting from the 25 or 30, flipping the field again, make them have a long field. That can be key in this game.
Absolutely. And that is another reason that I had my score lower than what I've heard from most people so far. I've been hearing in the 40s, and I'm not saying that it can't get there, but it's going to be us falling apart. I'm not counting on us falling apart. Overall, so far this season, I'm giving Arkansas's defense a solid B, and I'll give Arkansas's offense maybe a B-. You guys might go a C with the offense just based on what we've seen. But nonetheless, we're playing pretty good. Special teams, especially the field goal unit, we got to get that hemmed up because I'm not talking about missing field goals. I'm talking about not even deciding to kick a field goal because we're afraid that it's a wasted down. So why not just go for it? Those are the kind of things in a field goal unit that you got to have some confidence in them that your guy can get the 3 points and we can move down the road. And that's what wins ball games. So I give them a D for sure.
Yeah, I didn't understand the deal with the fake field goal last week.
No confidence. No confidence.
Well, after calling a timeout, you run the fake. I don't. That's the part. If you want to run a fake and you think that you've seen something on film, like they did with the punt, they saw something on film that worked beautiful. And I get, and this isn't after the fact saying this. I would have said this before I saw the fake. After you call a timeout on special teams like that, to me, trying any type of fake, and I've talked to a few coaches about that this week, and to see if my thinking was what these are high school coaches was the same as what they would do. And they said, yeah, I mean, you assume when there's a timeout before a field goal, punt, whatever, that the other team is talking about don't jump off sides, watch the fake, blah, blah, blah. And that's not the time to do it. If we took the field for a fake field goal and we didn't get the alignment that we wanted to run the fake against, I would have just assumed taking the 5-yard penalty, punt,
be done.
And a tie ball game, and let's go play defense from there. Now, the defense, I believe, did bow up after that, and it got a stop, and we didn't give up any points out of that, but it seemed like we gave up some momentum.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. And you can see I got the game plan behind me. I doubt that the right play will show up when I want to talk about it. But if you'll notice that punt right before the fake punt, I was watching it, and I was thinking to myself, oh, my God, run that freaking soccer-style Australian sideways rugby because it's wide open on that side of the field. I said, act like you're going to kick it that way and go. And I was just, kidding around,
Right.
mixing a drink, doing what I do. And sure enough, the next time they punt, he ran that sideways rugby style stuff and then just kept going. And I'm like, oh my God. And he ran for 32 yards.
Fourth and 15 too.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, it was 4th and 15. He ran 32 yards. Yeah. But anyway, that was a great play call. Somebody saw something. Hell, I saw it, and I'm just a layman, and I'm over there mixing a cocktail. So obviously the coaches saw that same thing. They showed up with the same punt return team, and the next thing you know, our punter, takes it up the right side, down the middle up the right side, and made a great gain. So good stuff. That's why I like our coaching staff. I'm not against all that. Listen, I've been purposely not listening to all the local radio shows. People call in and act like complete idiots. If I was the host of these shows, I wouldn't be able to take it. I mean, they have no idea what they're looking at or what they're seeing. They're it's crazy. I'm not going to go any further than that. So I've just refused to listen to it. I mean, I've gotten across the channel once or twice and heard a couple of calls. Just thought, whoa, there's a reason I'm not listening to this. I make my own decisions and I read my own stats and talk about Razorback football a little bit differently than all these other people. And I don't want to be skewed by that, by listening to these idiots who have never been right. So anyway, that's my take on that. Sorry to get on the soapbox.
No, it's funny you say that because early Sunday, the spread of this game showed up in Las Vegas at 12.5, and I immediately played some on Tennessee, and because I think it's probably a 17, 20-point game or whatever. And then ever since then, anything I've seen or listened to, and I'm like you, I try to avoid all that because I don't want, like I said, I don't want to be skewed either. I want to have my own thoughts, right or wrong. And everybody I see thinks we're going to get beat by 40 points. Maybe we will, but I know if you do opposite of what the general population thinks, you're going to be right more times than not. I mean, just look at the predictions last week on Hardcore Hog. There was only 2 or 3 people that had Texas A&M winning the game. Everybody else had Arkansas. The week before, or the same with the Oklahoma State game. I know most people are going to always pick Arkansas anyway, especially in a close game because they don't want to pick against Arkansas. You want to root for Arkansas, not to lose. I mean, so that's just the way it is. But when you see Arkansas fans thinking they're going to lose by 40, and that has worked on my mind the whole week. Because if you'd asked me 3 days ago what scores I was going to pick, I was probably going to pick Tennessee by 20, 25. I've dialed that back. I can see a path once I looked at Tennessee's schedule and who they've played and where they rank. I can see a path where Arkansas can play this within what Vegas thinks is going to be the number.
Well, I did the same thing you did. I got lucky. I took with an early line. I got Tennessee minus 12, and I took that because I just believe that's a good bet.
I do too.
But you talk about seeing paths. I mean, I can see a path to victory. I can't remember the last time I ever said that with for a Razorback game with a team coming in with a 12 to 15 point favorite. That I said Arkansas has a path to win. I can't remember that comment in 15 years. So there is a path to win. There's also a path to beat the spread, but then there's another 33% path that says you're right. We get beat by 40. So I don't know which it's going to be, but I hope it's the victory.
Oh, that'd be something right there. I mean,
and I'm
if we pull off a win like that going into the bye week, everybody will have 2 weeks to get hyped up for a night game against LSU. Whew,
oh my God,
that'd be great.
Can you imagine? And I don't know what to do about the over/under. I mean, it didn't matter where you set it. I think it's at 52 or 56 or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know.
It's 59.
59?
Yeah. I tried to play something kind of around that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I said this is one that has me stumped a little bit, and there's not much that'll surprise me once the game gets underway, unless it's an Arkansas blowout win.
Yeah.
I mean,
trust me, you are a Razorback fan. Both of y'all are Razorback fans, and I don't care if we go into the fourth quarter and there's 5 minutes left and we're up 28-7. I ain't comfortable, boys. I don't care who you are. I ain't comfortable.
As a 13-year-old, I was in Fayetteville. We played number 1 Texas there in '81, and beat them number 1 team 42-11. So I have seen it firsthand happen before. So Texas had 6 turnovers that day, I believe. So Tennessee would have to help out a little bit to get out of hand like that. But
that's what I'm counting on.
Sometimes ball gets rolling your way.
Well, I can't get over the fact. I think somewhere back there in '98 or '99, whenever Sterner, tripped over the lineman's foot and fell down, and it all went to hell after that in that ball game against Tennessee. I mean, George and I were at the same party at my house, had a lot of people over, had a video camera going with the TV in the background, talking about it, and it was just a complete failure. Yeah, I cannot get that. I can't get that scab off of my body. I just can't. I can't forget it. It's always there, and what I need something like that to happen to them, and then I'll be adjudicated. Is that what the right word? Adjudicated?
Yeah, adjudicated is excellent. One of those words? Excellent, yes. Such good
Where's
lexicon.
Paul Susky when I need him?
Well, hey, just heads up, Rick, because Stella turns 26 years old tomorrow. If that gives you any perspective, I remember holding her up those
26
steps.
years ago.
26 years ago. That's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was 98. That was the 98 game. Yep. The 99 return game to Fayetteville started Lucas to get revenge. That's the last time we beat a top 5 team in Fayetteville.
Wow.
Hey, now look, here's another fun fact. We beat Tennessee the last 3 times.
And 4 of the last 5.
Let's go with that fun fact. How about you?
I like
one of those games was the Joe Adams punt return game.
Oh yeah,
that was
awesome. That's the best punt return.
Yeah,
probably one of the best returns in the history of football, if you really look at it.
I was at both of those games.
I was sitting on the other side of the field, and I just was waiting for them to mark him out of bounds because I couldn't see, and then they never said he was out of bounds, and then they reviewed it, I believe, and it's like, no, that's touchdown. I was like, I can't believe that happened.
I'm going to be in Fayetteville. I'm in Fayetteville for the game. I'm going up to see my daughter. Got Dad's weekend at Popeye, and then I'm going to the ball game with a buddy of mine. I'll be sitting in the north end zone cheering them on, so I'll see it firsthand. Maybe I'll. You know how terrible the Wi-Fi is there. But maybe I'll try to log on and do a live shot for you boys.
There you go. Do it for sure.
We pull the upset. You got to do the live shot from the field.
Oh, dude, I'll be on the field I'll be like this.
He'll be the one hanging from the field goal post.
I'll be carrying the goal post to Dixon Street with all the college kids. Are you kidding?
So,
all right, fellas, I think that's pretty good. You got to wrap, Lang. You got to wrap up. George, you have a wrap up. What you got?
No, I'm not going to wrap up.
About everything else that I had notes on here.
Yeah. if you got some notes, we got nothing but time here.
Hey, look, nobody needs notes around here. We just know what we're talking about, buddy.
No, when I was going about who Tennessee played and their yardage per game and all that, I said, let me write this down. I can't remember all these numbers. I'm pretty good with numbers. I can't remember about 8 different stats like that.
Hey, well, listen,
what's your lock of the week, Lang? What's your lock of the week?
Oh, wow. Probably.
You don't want to give it out on
it's one of two games I'm looking at right now. Probably UConn. UConn plays Temple. I believe they're favored now by 17. The line opened at 14, flew up to 17. UConn has won their last 3 games. I believe they're 4-1 on the season. Maybe they're 3-2, but they've won their last 3 games and covered the spread by 26 points per week. Temple is one of the worst teams in college football. UConn is in the middle of a 6-game homestand. So they've been home. They rolled last week as one of my picks, 47-3 over Buffalo. I look for them to roll again here over Temple this week. To cover the 17 points, that is definitely going to be one of my big plays on the sheet that I send out on social media.
Okay, yeah, great.
George, listen, George. Yeah. I can't believe you want to ask the greatest prognosticator in college football to give away a free pick on a nationally syndicated YouTube show called Hardcore Hog.
Yeah, we're changing
give away
markets.
A free pick. Now look, everybody that wins that football game better double subscribe to anything Lang has out there on social media. You get me?
All football picks for free. I put them all out for free. They're all out for free.
So Lang,
now when we come around, when Oakland comes around in another 8 weeks or so, that's a little different story.
Yeah, so we're not getting any Oakland picks, George. No Oakland picks, baby.
Yeah. I go by the numbers at Oakland, and I'm talking about what race is it? It's the 7th race. Okay, well, I'll take the 7 horse. That's how I do Oakland.
There's some days I wish I did the same thing.
Yeah, I get it. No, I mean, I love the horse races.
Lang, but we probably ought to get George together and do an Oakland show too, because I love looking at the horses, and I don't care that much about the betting and the horse racing and all that stuff. What I care about is I love the amount of data that's available, and I love studying the data and picking the horses based on the data. Man, I've been a technical guy all my life. I've never been a fundamental guy. I don't care if it's the stock market. I don't care what it is. I have always been a technical analyst in everything that it comes down to. So being a technical analyst in the horse racing business, you don't fall in love with a horse. You don't fall in love with a jockey. You don't fall in love with an owner. You don't fall in love with a trainer. You just go do the technicality that you're supposed to do like a technician does, and you come up with then you take a look at, okay, who did I pick?
Yeah.
So that's my style, and I love doing it.
In the last couple of years, I've been lucky enough to start getting involved in corporate speaking to groups over there. I did it 4 different times last year over at Oakland. And one thing I always like to say is that people always, and I'll take some Q&A at the end of it about whether I need to explain this race better, that race better, or people ask me how to bet. Because what I do is I always tell them, I said, I give you my picks. I'm not telling you what to bet.
Right.
I don't know what your bankroll is. That's not my business.
Right, right.
I like horse XYZ. And what I always like to say, and it's no different, and there's no different picking football games, the way I think about it. There's 3 things that go into handicapping. One is history. We're looking at what Tennessee did last week. We're looking at what Arkansas did the last 3 games, whatever. You look at history. Part of it's math. With the horses, it's how fast they ran, how fast they run this distance. Was this in the slop? Was this with blah, blah, blah. Same with this football. We're looking at how many yards per carry, how many, that kind of stuff. And then the third part is this one is you can't figure out. It's part like voodoo, like it's what's the word I'm looking for here?
Intuition,
6th sense.
Kind of, yeah. It's fortune telling.
Yeah, 6th sense.
You're looking at something in the past to project what's going to happen today.
Yeah.
Because I heard somebody say this on a podcast I was listening to, and it's so good. don't look at last week's game, whether it was great or whether it was awful, and think the exact same thing is going to happen this week. Every team, whether it's Arkansas, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, whoever, when they look back through their 12-game season, there's one game that's going to be an awful game, their worst game of the year. Now, they still might win if you're Alabama or Georgia. You can play a bad game and win. But then there's going to be another game where you said this is their best game of the year. So reality for most teams is somewhere in the middle. And it's the same way with horses. I never look at the horse's best race or the worst race. Let me look at something in the middle that I can project as an average, and let's go from there and figure out who's going to win the football game or who's going to win the horse race.
Well, that's what I always do as a technical analyst. I always look at the entire body of work, and I always throw out the top, and I always throw out the bottom. That's period, end of sentence. It doesn't matter. Don't even look at it. Don't even go, okay, well, what was it about that top performance? Or what was it about that bottom performance? Broken leg at the bottom performance, or hyped up on Lasix and cocaine on the top? Doesn't matter. I'm throwing those two out, so I don't even look at them. And that's the way to do it in football, too. I mean, you have to.
Yeah, I mean, if you tell me that Arkansas can play two halves like they played the first half against Oklahoma State, Arkansas is going to win this game. Yeah. Now, they haven't done that this year, but they've done it for a half. Is there going to maybe that's the best half they play all year? We won't know that for another 6 or 8 weeks. But I still think their best game is ahead of them. We have not played our best game yet.
Well,
and
I agree.
If it's be this week, who knows what can happen?
I agree. We saw some magic last week. I mean, what was it? Vanderbilt and Ole Miss. I mean, that game. Kentucky, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that game showed up, and then Virginia Tech and Miami, was it? I mean, that Hail Mary at the end of that game, I mean, that was a fantastic game. So there's magic in the air, baby.
Even the Bama-Georgia game, I mean, who would have guessed that Bama was going to run out to 28-0 in that game? And then who would have thought that anybody is going to come back and take a lead at Alabama after trailing by 4 scores, and Georgia still did it?
Yeah,
I know they lost, but that says to me more about Georgia than it does Alabama. They were able to rally up on the road, not playing their best game. They had 4 turnovers, and they still took the lead with 2 minutes left. Georgia's still the favorite to win the title for me.
Yeah, I would have never thought that either. That was an awesome game.
Nothing I loved seeing more.
Let's wrap it up.
All right. Hey, guys, checking out from LA. Thanks for the info. I'm going to go with Connecticut and Tennessee.
Connecticut and Louisville might be my top 2.